Absolutely incredible headline, this one.
1 in 5 Britons now anti-Semitic, study finds. Survey shows almost half of the UK believe Israel treats Palestine like Nazis treat Jews.
Yes, because that's true. Like,
Yeah.
it turns out half of the British public have eyes and ears and brains.
Yeah. Little heads up for everybody. This was done by a group called the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, whilst a noble-sounding organisation is the Zionist Front Group.
I mean, literally, isn't it a front for the Jewish National Fund,
Yeah.
which explicitly supports illegal settlements in the West Bank, i.e. international crimes?
Yeah, and is supported by people like the chief rabbi, who is, again, just a Zionist shill at this point. And has been spoken of kindly by the likes of Margaret Hodge. So again, it's just a Zionist front group. Yeah, they conflate criticism of Israel as being anti-Semitic,
which is it turns out not the same thing.
No.
Indeed, by linking the Jewish people and the Israeli state together, you are trying to implicate all Jews in genocide, which they are not implicated in, because only certain people in Israel are doing it, and not even just Jews are doing it. Druze and Arabs and Circassians also serve in the IDF and are also committing genocide. It has nothing to do with the religion or the ethno-religious group that people belong to. It is the state and the ideology of Zionism and the act of colonialism that is bad and that people are criticising.
Indeed. Oh, Kieran, by the way, you've been changed. You've been reshuffled. You're not the prime ministerial anal sex correspondent now. You know that your brief is prime ministerial heavy petting. Okay, you're in a different department now. Just saying. But you are still in government, though. Don't think of this as a demotion, but a new opportunity.
Also, another interesting part of this article, apparently 49% of 18 to 24-year-olds said that they were uncomfortable spending time with people who openly support Israel. Yeah,
Good.
That's not anti-Semitism. That's just people who dislike genocidal colonial ethno-states. Like,
look, all I'm saying is, when they say that 93% of people in Britain don't like hanging around with Nazis, why do the people of Britain hate Germans so much?
Exactly, it's just crazy stuff. Like, I would also feel uncomfortable if somebody said that they, like, openly supported Azerbaijan, right? Like, ethnically cleansing the Nagorno-Karabakh, or if they did the same thing with their support for the UAE funding the rapid support forces in Sudan who are committing genocide right now. Like, I would also feel uncomfortable spending time with people who supported these things too. When it says 1 in 5 Britons now, what they're specifically referring to is people who agreed with 4 or more anti-Semitic statements, which was 20% of them, but
virtually none of which were anti-Semitic.
Yeah, what they are referencing here is people's opinions of the state of Israel, rather than anything to do with Jewish people.
Richard, this goes to show you that the Zionists don't care about Jewish people. They care only about the state of Israel and nothing else. That's literally it. It's
literally, it's honestly, it's so damaging because of all the people that are going to be harmed because they're being implicated in something that they are in no way implicated by.
Yeah, I feel sorry for especially British Jews given this story, but Jewish people around the world who get smeared with this shit. They've done nothing to deserve this.
What's frustrating, right, is that one of the things that they have talked about in the article, which is potentially anti-Semitic, is a trope, because 26% of the British public believe that Israel gets away with things because its supporters control the media, right? When, of course, the reality is that, well, they kind of do control the media, but it's not Jewish people or necessarily even Zionists that control the media. It is international capitalists who are allied with Zionism because it's how Western international capital has its own interests satiated in the region, right? This has nothing to do with Jewish people having a right to a homeland. It's nothing to do with the desire to ethnically cleanse Palestinians, or is at the very least contingent upon it. It is broadly about having the imperial outpost in the Middle East that the people who own the media support because it's good for business interests. It's nothing to do with anything about the ethno-state itself.
And, well, yes and no. There's also the religious aspect of this. The vast majority of Zionists in the world are Christian. That's just true. About 80+% are Christian, most of which are fundamentalist evangelicals in the United States. They are a huge voting bloc, and they want the ethno-state in Israel. So from the river to the river, right? From the Nile to the Euphrates. That's the Greater Israel Project. Have you ever seen that map that they use? That's literally from the Nile River to the Euphrates. So from Egypt to Iraq. And once that's controlled, they believe it will bring about Armageddon, which will involve the rapture of righteous Christians into heaven, and then everyone else, including all Jewish people, will be killed in the final showdown between Jesus and Satan, and Earth will be destroyed. So, that's cool. They're a very important voting bloc in the United States. If you wanted to know why America's fucking mental.
One thing that this Telegraph article tries to point out here is somehow to imply that the Green Party is the most anti-Semitic, obviously because they're critical of Israel.
Because they
right?
just elected a Jewish guy as leader. Yeah, naturally. Yeah.
The most anti-Semitic party with the Jewish leader that was elected with an overwhelming majority of the votes, right? Yeah, clearly incredibly anti-Semitic.
Massively.
Right?
But they're basically Hamas. Yeah.
Yeah, and their justification for it is basically entirely around their opinions on Israel and nothing to do with actual Jewish people, right? Do you want to hazard a guess, Kevin, who they say the least anti-Semitic political party supporters are?
Either Conservative or Reform, I imagine.
Is Reform UK?
Naturally.
Like, what was it that Farage said about Jewish people? Nigel Farage's been condemned by Jewish groups and MPs for using language associated with far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, including his conspiracy theories about George Soros, and he also talks about cultural Marxism, which is literally a reheating of cultural Bolshevism, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory literally pushed by the actual Nazi Party of Germany from the 1940s.
Literally, yes. Also interesting, isn't it, that Zach Polanski has faced some pretty gruesome attacks upon his appearance and his background and stuff. The same people who are out there screaming anti-Semitism at everything, a bit quiet on that one. Apparently he doesn't count. He's not quite the right kind of Jew for them, you understand? Yeah.
Well, it's almost like all of those not the right kind of Jews who got expelled from the Labour Party for opposing British foreign policy.
Yeah. Or the Holocaust survivor who was dragged out of a Labour Party conference a few years ago, for people who remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Because opposing war means you get physically manhandled as an 80-year-old. Brilliant.
But yeah, like, if you look at every single instance that they've picked here to show anti-Semitism among party voters is entirely around the opinions on Israel, apart from one of them, which is that 10% of Reform voters do not believe Jewish people are as loyal to Britain as other British people. And 24% of Reform voters believe that Jewish people chase money more than other people do.
How are they the least anti-Semitic part? That's about as anti-Semitic as it can get. They're disloyal money grabbers. Like
Exactly.
What the fuck is that?
Exactly. They explicitly point out these are higher figures than for voters of any other major party.
Because
right?
It's not about anti-Semitism to them. Doesn't mean being against Jewish people. It means being against the state of Israel. That's all they care about.
Literally, right? The most openly anti-Semitic thing here is obviously those statements there by like a country mile. Obvious anti-Semitism. And then the next one is about spending time with people who support Israel. The next one is about the Israel supporters being a bad influence on democracy.
Well, literally.
And then,
so you're ranked as not anti-Semitic if you think that Jews are disloyal, money-grabbing scum, as long as you also like Israel.
Exactly. Like, they point out that Reform voters are the most supportive of Israel. I wonder why that gave them the lowest anti-Semitism score, right? Every single other thing pointed out here in the article is about opinions on Israel, apart from those first two things, which are so virulently and genuine anti-Semitic. And yet somehow, because what they're doing is tallying up agreement with anti-Semitic statements, that makes the Green Party the most anti-Semitic and Reform UK the least, even though only one of these statements is actually anti-Semitic in nature.
The fact that they are publishing that study in the British media shows you how pathetically cooked to Zionism the British media is, because that should be laughed off as a fucking crank study.
In reality, I think that the Telegraph aren't doing this because they're in hock to Zionism. I don't think they really care either way. The reality is this is more Project Esther stuff, which is mostly Christians weaponizing opposition to Israel as a way of laundering criticism of their political opponents as being anti-Semitic because of that, right? They are using the weaponization of anti-Semitism due to people's opposition to Israel and the erroneous link between those two things to try and essentially eviscerate support for left-wing causes more broadly. This is a very explicit Christian Zionist project in America. It's a very big right-wing conservative project in America, which is being imported here, and the Israeli government are pushing it. Dropsite News did a really great study, or there was really great leaked data that was found by Dropsite News, essentially showing that there's a bunch of market research that the Israeli state has done into countries in the West, by saying that, well, they're all of them have got much less trust of Israel than they used to. It's massively dropped, especially in the UK and in Spain. They've massively dropped off. And their explicit strategy to try and reaffirm support for Israel is to spread Islamophobia amongst the countries in Europe and in America, right? To try and essentially paint the Israeli state as the bulwark against the hordes from the east.
Yeah.
That's why this is Project Esther stuff. I don't necessarily believe that the Telegraph care either about Zionism or clearly not about Jewish people at all. Hence the Telegraph's attacks on Zach Polanski with kind of shades of anti-Semitic attacks on him in terms of the way in which they talk about him, you know?
Yeah.
It's because they are trying to delegitimize left-wing causes by tying them to anti-Semitism because of our dislike of genocide and colonialism.
Yeah. Fair points.
Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.